Hughes the High Roller.
Chapter 1. The golden lights of the Grand Mirage Casino glittered against the velvety night sky, casting a warm glow over the bustling Las Vegas Strip. The casino's entrance, flanked by towering marble columns and adorned with intricate gold leaf patterns, beckoned to those seeking fortune and excitement. Inside, the air was filled with the soft chime of slot machines, the quiet rustle of cards being shuffled, and the muted hum of conversations punctuated by occasional bursts of laughter and cheers. Hughes stood at the threshold of the casino, pausing to take in the opulent surroundings. He was a striking figure, impeccably dressed in a tailored navy suit that complemented his sharp features and confident demeanor. His eyes, a piercing shade of blue, scanned the room with a calm intensity that belied the turmoil churning within him. The polished leather of his shoes gleamed under the chandelier's light as he adjusted his cufflinks, every movement precise and deliberate. Just as he was about to step inside, Hughes's phone vibrated in his pocket. He glanced at the screen and saw his mother's name flashing. Answering the call, he heard her voice, strained with worry. "Hughes, it's David. The doctors say he needs surgery immediately. It's going to be expensive, more than we can afford," she said, her voice breaking. A cold knot of fear tightened in Hughes's chest. David, his younger brother, had always been the spirited one, full of life and dreams. The thought of him lying in a hospital bed, dependent on an operation for his survival, was unbearable. "How much do we need?" Hughes asked, his voice steady despite the rising panic. His mother's answer was a figure that made his heart sink. He didn't have that kind of money, not even close. "I'll take care of it," he said, his mind racing. Hughes hung up, slipping the phone back into his pocket. His mind was made up in an instant. The casino had always been his domain, a place where his uncanny ability to count cards turned the odds in his favor. Tonight, he would have to rely on every ounce of his skill and luck. There was no other way. Steeling himself, Hughes took a deep breath and stepped into the Grand Mirage. The scent of expensive cigars and the soft murmur of the crowd washed over him, familiar and comforting. He made his way through the lavish gaming floor, past rows of slot machines and roulette tables, heading straight for the blackjack tables at the heart of the casino. The usual buzz of excitement surrounded the tables, but Hughes's focus was razor sharp. He spotted an empty seat at his favorite table, where Cynthia, one of the casino's best dealers, was shuffling the cards. She glanced up and gave him a nod, recognizing him instantly. With a determined look, Hughes sat down, ready to take on the night. He knew that the stakes had never been higher. For David's sake, he had to win. Chapter 2. Hughes approached the blackjack table with purpose, his presence commanding the attention of both the regulars and the casino staff. Cynthia, the dealer, smiled at him, a subtle acknowledgement of their shared history at the table. The regulars, a mix of seasoned gamblers and occasional high rollers, nodded in greeting, their faces reflecting both admiration and wariness. Hughes had a reputation for turning the odds in his favour, and tonight he needed every ounce of that skill. As he took his seat, Hughes settled into his familiar rhythm. He watched Cynthia shuffle the single deck with practiced ease, the cards flowing seamlessly between her hands. He placed his first bet, a modest amount to start, and leaned back, his eyes never leaving the table. The first few hands were warm-ups, small victories that built his confidence and reassured the onlookers. Hughes played with a calm precision, each move calculated, each decision backed by his extraordinary ability to count cards. As the cards continued to fall in his favour, his bets grew larger, and his winnings accumulated steadily. Around the table, murmurs of admiration began to ripple through the crowd. Hughes's streak was mesmerising. His ease and confidence a stark contrast to the typical tension of the high-stakes tables. Yet, beneath his composed exterior, Hughes felt the weight of his brother's situation pressing down on him. Every hand he played, every bet he placed, was a step closer to securing the money needed for David's surgery. Among the onlookers was a young, inexperienced player named Jack. He watched Hughes with wide-eyed fascination, admiring the older man's skill and poise. During a brief lull between hands, Jack couldn't resist striking up a conversation. "Excuse me, Mr. Hughes." Jack's voice was tentative, but filled with genuine curiosity. "I've seen you play before. You're amazing. Do you have any tips for someone just starting out?" Hughes turned to Jack, his piercing blue eyes softening slightly. He saw a bit of his younger self in the eager, hopeful face of the novice player. He nodded and leaned in slightly, keeping his voice low. "The key is to stay focused and never let the pressure get to you," Hughes began. "Learn to read the cards, keep track of what's been played, and make your decisions based on that. It's about understanding the probabilities and playing the long game." Jack listened intently, absorbing every word. Sensing Jack's genuine interest, Hughes decided to share a bit more. "Card counting helps," he said, his voice barely above a whisper. "It's not about memorizing every card, but keeping a mental tally of high and low cards. It gives you an edge, but you need to be discreet. Casinos don't look kindly on card counters." Jack's eyes widened, and he nodded appreciatively. "Thank you, Mr. Hughes. I'll practice that." As Hughes returned to his game, his winning streak continued, drawing more attention. Mr. Thompson, the casino manager, had been observing from a distance. His sharp eyes narrowed as he watched Hughes's consistent success. Thompson knew about Hughes's past, his uncanny ability to win big. He suspected Hughes was counting cards, and it made him uneasy. Instructing security to keep a close watch on Hughes, Thompson decided to monitor the situation personally. He approached the blackjack table, his presence adding a new layer of tension. Hughes noticed Thompson's approach, but remained outwardly calm, his focus unbroken. The pressure was mounting. With each hand, Hughes felt the stakes rising, the weight of his brother's fate resting on his shoulders. Yet, he played on, his mind sharp and his resolve unwavering. He couldn't afford to lose, not tonight. Cynthia dealt the next hand, her movements smooth and deliberate. Hughes placed a substantial bet, sensing the deck's favour. The cards were revealed, and once again he came out on top. The crowd murmured in awe, while Thompson's gaze grew more intense. Hughes knew he was being watched, but he also knew he had to keep playing. For David, for his brother's chance at life, he had to push forward. The night was far from over, and the final decisive moments were still to come. Chapter 3. The energy in the Grand Mirage Casino was electric. Word had spread about Hughes's incredible winning streak, and a sizable crowd had gathered around the blackjack table, eager to witness the high-stakes drama unfold. The onlookers, a mix of gamblers and curious patrons, watched in hushed anticipation as Hughes continued to win hand after hand. Hughes's stack of chips had grown impressively, but he was still short of the amount needed for David's surgery. Determined to close the gap, Hughes began to place larger bets, his confidence unwavering despite the pressure. Every decision was calculated, every move deliberate. With each win, the tension in the room escalated. Cynthia, the dealer, maintained her professional demeanour, but a glint of admiration shone in her eyes as she dealt the cards. She knew Hughes well and understood the skill and composure required to perform at this level. Sensing an opportunity to make a significant leap toward his goal, Hughes decided to place a substantial bet on the perfect pair side bet, a risky move that caught everyone's attention. The perfect pair bet was a long shot, requiring the first two cards dealt to be an exact pair, both in rank and suit. The payout was high, but so were the odds against it. The crowd murmured, and even Cynthia raised an eyebrow as Hughes slid a large stack of chips onto the side bet. The air was thick with anticipation, and every eye was on the table as Cynthia began to deal the cards. The first card slid out smoothly, a 10 of diamonds. A collective gasp rippled through the crowd. The second card followed, landing with a soft thud, a second 10 of diamonds. The room erupted in astonished cheers and applause. Against all odds, Hughes had won the perfect pair bet, securing a substantial payout that brought him within reach of the amount needed for David's surgery. As the chips were pushed toward Hughes, Mr. Thompson stepped forward, his face a mask of suspicion and determination. The crowd fell silent, sensing the impending confrontation. "Hughes," Thompson said, his voice low but firm, "you've had an impressive night. Too impressive. I know you're counting cards. It's the only explanation for your consistent wins." Hughes met Thompson's gaze calmly, his blue eyes steady and unyielding. "I'm just playing the game, Mr. Thompson," he replied evenly. "But if you're so sure I'm cheating, let's settle this once and for all." The crowd held its breath. the tension almost unbearable. Hughes continued, "I propose a final high-stakes hand. If I lose, I'll leave the casino forever. But if I win, you'll accept my success and let me be." Thompson hesitated, weighing his options. The stakes were high, but he couldn't afford to lose face in front of the casino patrons. Finally, he nodded. "Deal," he said curtly. "One last hand." The table was reset, and Cynthia prepared to deal the final hand. The crowd pressed in closer, their excitement palpable. This was the moment they had all been waiting for, a showdown between a master player and the house. Hughes placed his final bet, pushing his remaining chips to the center of the table. Cynthia dealt the cards with practiced precision, her expression unreadable. Hughes's mind was a whirlwind of calculations, his focus absolute. The cards were revealed one by one, the tension building with each turn. Hughes's hand stood strong, a combination of skill and intuition guiding him. When the final card was laid down, it was clear. Hughes had won. The crowd erupted in applause and cheers, their excitement a testament to the drama they had witnessed. Thompson, though defeated, managed a grudging nod of respect. "You've won, Hughes. Fair and square." Hughes allowed himself a small, triumphant smile. He had done it. With the money now in hand, he could ensure David would get the surgery he desperately needed. The weight of worry lifted from his shoulders, replaced by a profound sense of relief and accomplishment. Chapter 4. The final hand was underway, and the atmosphere around the blackjack table was charged with suspense. Each card Cynthia dealt seemed to hang in the air for a moment longer, the tension palpable as the crowd leaned in, holding their collective breath. Hughes's mind worked with the precision of a finely tuned machine, his card-counting skills in full play. He made calculated decisions, his bets and plays reflecting the ever-shifting odds in his favor. Every movement was deliberate, every gesture controlled, revealing his deep understanding of the game and the probabilities involved. The first card revealed was an ace for Hughes. A murmur ran through the crowd. The dealer's up card was a 6. Hughes' face remained impassive as Cynthia dealt the next round. Hughes received a 10 of spades, giving him a strong hand of 21. The crowd watched in silent awe as Cynthia dealt herself a 5, bringing her total to 11, and then drew a face card, busting with 21. Hughes won the hand, securing a substantial payout. The realization that he had achieved his goal washed over him like a wave, the relief almost overwhelming. He had the money needed for David's surgery. The crowd erupted in applause and cheers, their excitement a testament to the drama they had witnessed. Thompson, though defeated, managed a grudging nod of respect. "You've won, Hughes, fair and square." Hughes allowed himself a small, triumphant smile. He had done it. With the money now in hand, he could ensure David would get the surgery he desperately needed. The weight of worry lifted from his shoulders, replaced by a profound sense of relief and accomplishment. Mr. Thompson stepped forward, his expression a mixture of suspicion and reluctant admiration. "Well, Hughes, you played a good game," he said, his voice begrudgingly respectful. "I can't deny that. You're free to stay, but we'll be watching." Hughes nodded, understanding the unspoken message. He had proven himself tonight, and for now, that was enough. He turned to see Jack standing nearby, his eyes wide with admiration and excitement. "That was incredible, Mr. Hughes," Jack exclaimed, stepping closer. "I've never seen anything like it. Can you teach me? I want to learn how to play like you." Hughes looked at the young man, seeing a reflection of his younger self in Jack's eager expression. He nodded, a thoughtful smile playing on his lips. "Sure, Jack. I'll teach you. But remember, it's not just about the cards or counting them. It's about staying calm under pressure, making smart decisions, and knowing when to take risks." Jack's face lit up with excitement. "Thank you, Mr. Hughes. I won't let you down." As the crowd began to disperse, Hughes gathered his winnings, the stack of chips representing not just money, but hope and a future for his brother. Cynthia, the dealer, gave him a knowing look, her eyes filled with unspoken congratulations. "You did well tonight, Hughes," she said softly. "Good luck with everything." "Thank you, Cynthia," Hughes replied, his voice sincere. "I couldn't have done it without a good dealer." With that, Hughes made his way out of the casino, Jack by his side, already asking questions about strategy and techniques. As they stepped into the cool night air, Hughes felt a sense of peace he hadn't known in a long time. He had faced the odds and won, not just for himself, but for his brother. The night had been long and filled with challenges, but now there was hope. Hughes knew that the future would still hold its share of uncertainties. But with the skills he had honed and the determination that had seen him through tonight, he felt ready to face whatever came next. Chapter 5. Mr. Thompson stood by the table, his expression a mix of suspicion and reluctant acceptance. The crowd was still buzzing with excitement, their eyes darting between Hughes and the casino manager. Thompson finally nodded, acknowledging Hughes's victory. "You played a clean game, Hughes," Thompson said, his voice begrudging but respectful. "You're free to stay, but don't think we won't be watching." Hughes nodded in understanding, his face calm and composed. "I wouldn't expect anything less," he replied, his tone even. As the crowd began to disperse, Jack approached Hughes, his eyes filled with admiration. "Mr. Hughes, that was incredible. I've never seen anything like it." Hughes looked at the young man, seeing a reflection of his younger self in Jack's eager expression. He smiled and placed a hand on Jack's shoulder. "Thanks, Jack. Just remember, it's not only about the cards or counting them. It's about staying calm under pressure, making smart decisions, and knowing when to take risks." Jack's face lit up with excitement. "I'll remember that, Mr. Hughes. Thank you." Cynthia, the dealer, approached Hughes, her eyes filled with unspoken congratulations. "You did well tonight, Hughes," she said softly. "Good luck with everything." "Thank you, Cynthia," Hughes replied sincerely. "I couldn't have done it without a good dealer." Hughes gathered his winnings, the stack of chips representing not just money, but hope and a future for his brother. With Jack by his side, already asking questions about strategy and techniques, Hughes made his way towards the exit. As they stepped into the cool night air, Hughes felt a sense of peace he hadn't known in a long time. He had faced the odds and won, not just for himself, but for his brother. The weight of worry lifted from his shoulders, replaced by a profound sense of relief and accomplishment. Hughes turned to Jack, his new protégé, and gave him a reassuring smile. "Remember, Jack, it's not just about the cards you're dealt, it's how you play them. And sometimes it's about knowing when to walk away." With those words, Hughes walked away from the table, a satisfied smile on his face. Cynthia watched him leave with a knowing look, her eyes reflecting the shared understanding of a night that had changed everything. Hughes knew that the future would still hold its share of uncertainties, but with the skills he had honed and the determination that had seen him through tonight, he felt ready to face whatever came next. The lights of the Grand Mirage Casino faded into the background as Hughes and Jack disappeared into the Las Vegas night. A new journey just beginning.